Have you ever encountered an individual who appeared flawlessly compassionate, serene, and charitable, displaying an almost supernatural level of perfection? Their expressions brightened at precisely the appropriate moments. Their words flowed with deliberate elegance. Their voice never escalated beyond composure. Their emotions remained perpetually controlled, yet an inexplicable discomfort settled within you during their presence. Though you struggled to identify the source, your instincts murmured warnings of caution. What if the true threat among people doesn't originate from those displaying obvious malice, hostility, or combativeness, but rather from individuals completely devoid of their darker aspects? Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss mental health pioneer who provided revolutionary understanding of human consciousness, argued that the most hazardous individuals aren't those who openly display their imperfections, but rather those who conceal them so masterfully that even they remain unaware of their existence. Their exterior radiates tranquility, while internally a tempest builds momentum, one they've consistently refused to acknowledge. If you discover value in exploring the complexities of human consciousness, consider following our content as we examine the hidden depths, behavioral patterns, and concealed realities that influence your existence. Understanding Jung's cautionary message requires examining one of his fundamental concepts: the persona. This persona represents the facade we adopt, the identity we showcase to society around us. It enables our social functioning through courtesy, compliance, and psychological stability. However, complications emerge when we start accepting this facade as our complete identity. Beyond this mask exists the unconscious mind, an expansive and untamed territory containing our instincts, buried recollections, suppressed emotions, and most significantly, our shadow self. This shadow encompasses everything we decline to acknowledge within ourselves: jealousy, fury, greed, along with untapped imagination, raw intuition, and unfiltered authenticity. It doesn't develop solely through malevolence or psychological wounds. Instead, it forms through the conflict between our authentic selves and societal expectations. During childhood, we rapidly discover which behaviors earn affection and which result in rejection. Consequently, we reshape ourselves accordingly. We suppress aspects that seem incompatible with acceptance. Perhaps we learn that displaying anger brings disapproval, so we mask it. Maybe our aspirations are labeled as arrogance, leading us to suppress them. Possibly our emotional sensitivity faced ridicule, prompting us to build protective barriers. Yet these buried elements don't disappear. They remain dormant. Eventually, these suppressed aspects begin expressing themselves through nighttime visions, emotional eruptions, compulsive behaviors, and psychological projections. This occurs not from malicious intent, but from their desire for recognition. Jung cautioned that unconscious elements inevitably manifest as destiny when left unexamined. Simply put, the less awareness you maintain regarding your shadow self, the more it will manipulate your life from behind the curtain. Individuals who avoid confronting their darkness don't transform into virtuous beings. Instead, they become unpredictable hazards, threatening not only others, but themselves as well. This presents a fascinating contradiction. Those convinced of their moral superiority pose the greatest danger because they lack introspection. They dismiss self-questioning and abandon the modesty needed to consider personal responsibility. They reframe their domineering behavior as concern, their scheming as safeguarding, their harshness as necessary guidance, persuading both themselves and others of their righteous position. Yet deep within their virtuous exterior, their shadow self strains against containment. The instant you question them, even respectfully, their facade begins cracking, revealing sharp wit, emotional distance, unspoken retribution, or more insidiously, indirect hostility that makes you question your own sanity. Unlike obviously harmful individuals who explode dramatically, these people gradually wear down your defenses through subtle erosion, causing you to question reality, minimize your requirements, and carefully navigate around their expectations while they maintain their flawless appearance. You'll encounter statements such as, I'm expressing this out of genuine concern, or everyone considers me exceptionally pleasant, or I never lose control, or I'm simply worried about you. Nevertheless, your intuition recognizes something amiss. Your nervous system detects the disconnect between their projected image and their unintegrated aspects. Jung's observation strikes most profoundly here. The threat doesn't lie within darkness itself, but in its denial. Someone who acknowledges their capacity for selfishness and reactivity while actively addressing these traits presents far less danger than someone claiming perpetual kindness, denying harmful actions, and distancing themselves from those types of people. The person who recognizes their shadow maintains a conscious relationship with it, while those in denial remain unconsciously controlled by forces they refuse to acknowledge. Jung viewed this shadow rejection not merely as psychological dysfunction, but as spiritual blindness, an unwillingness toward self-examination, a hazardous naivety. This innocence eventually becomes toxic, not through intention, but because it lacks alternative outlets. All energy invested in shadow suppression manifests indirectly through resentment, persistent dissatisfaction, manipulation, or moral superiority. Therefore, how do you safeguard yourself? By trusting your unease. Not every courteous individual represents safety. Not every pleasant expression carries authenticity. Sometimes the most damaging people present themselves wrapped in civility precisely because they've never encountered their genuine nature. Jung's insights encourage us to question what we're overlooking in others, but more crucially, what we're avoiding within ourselves. The deeper our self-awareness regarding our own shadow, the more readily we identify deception, facades, and manipulation in others. Once this recognition occurs, it becomes permanent. If you've experienced this unease around someone without understanding why, you're neither irrational nor suspicious. You're simply perceptive. The reality remains that they may never transform because doing so would require acknowledging their perfection as fabrication. However, you can choose a different path. You can confront what they avoid, encounter your shadow, develop friendship with it, and learn from its teachings. Through this process, you don't become more negative. You achieve completeness. Within that wholeness, you develop immunity against those who haven't yet confronted themselves. If this perspective awakens something within you, consider engaging with content that explores beyond surface appearances into deeper truths. Because self-knowledge isn't merely beneficial, it's essential protection. If these ideas resonate with your understanding, share this message so others can recognize what their conscious mind hasn't yet grasped, but their intuition already comprehends.